What's up, guys? Today we have the 27.5 Concord. I've done a couple of videos with this already, and they've gained a little bit of traction, so figured I'd do another, doing the 300-mile update. With that being said, right now I have 374 miles on it. Because this bike tracks the miles a little off on the speedometer. I know I had someone come in the comments and say maybe I could adjust the computer for the wheel size. I haven't checked it yet. I just kept it stock how it came out of the box and have tested up to this point. So I figure 380, 400 should be somewhere around 300 miles. That's typically what I like to test the bike up to, because what I've seen up to this point is that most people end up riding their bikes about 300 miles before they end up getting rid of them on Facebook. So I figure for the normal person, this is as far as they're going to ride it before they get rid of it. So that's why I try to ride the bike up to 300 miles. And I also do it so that I could, give you guys an update on what to expect if things break. Because riding a bike 100 miles isn't really enough to be able to run it through its paces. And to be honest with you, 300 miles isn't enough to really wear out a drivetrain or a chain or anything like that. But it's enough that if there was something that was cheap or needed adjustment, it would, rear its ugly head, and then I could bring it to you guys and let you know what I've experienced as a result of riding this bike. So you don't see it, but let me tilt this down a little bit. I have a flat. And the reason I have a flat is because I ended up deciding or thinking that it was a good idea to take my son on his mountain bike, which is behind this, on a mountain bike trail local to me, and figured I would try to take this bike on that trail to see how it would handle it. I would say that the bike handled it pretty well. The issue is, I don't think I put enough pressure in the tires, so I ended up getting a flat. The front is good. It lasted through, but the rear did not. And so all that being said, for the most part of the 375 miles, they've all been on the road, and I've had no issues with the bike, with the exception of a couple of things. And the first thing is the seat post. In the beginning, I had to tighten that down quite a bit to be able to get to where the tube didn't come down, and readjust. And still, sometimes it happens every so often to me. I've also found that if you move this seat post all the way down, you can't really close this out. So sometimes I let my kids ride this bike, and so whenever they adjust this all the way down, and then they end up not being able to close out this fastener, so they have to back it off, tighten it, or excuse me, back it off and then tighten it with the fastener, and that ends up resulting in them being able to have the seat not move around, all that stuff while they're riding it. So that's part of why the seat post has moved up and down, is because they have backed it off whenever they rode it, and I had to readjust it in order for myself to ride it. That's probably the only annoying thing that happened within even the first 100 miles of riding the bike. I would say within, I don't know, maybe, once I hit about 200 miles, I ended up starting having this with the front brake. I would kind of pull it in a lot, or like pretty far in, and they would lock up. It's no longer doing that. I don't know if it, wore itself in or what was happening with it. I didn't make any adjustments to the brakes, but now it's just fine. It doesn't lock up. I was really worried about that whenever I went on the mountain bike trail. I thought maybe that this front brake would lock up while I was going down a hill or something like that. If I squeezed on it a lot, maybe it was those actions and going on a bumpy trail that ended up causing it to kind of dislodge, or whatever was causing it to bound up in the first place. Anyway, those are the only two issues that I've had with the bike thus far. I did find myself having to adjust the gears probably within the first 100 miles, but that was just this barrel adjustment back here. There's like a small barrel adjustment. I just backed that off a little bit, and it was good to go. Anything else about the bike? One thing I will say is I made some range claims on the bike originally. It was like 100 miles, on level one assist, and I was recently trying to do another level one assist test just to tell you guys, here in Texas, what the difference was compared to whenever I was in Iowa riding on flat ground.
but from what I've seen, at least, while I was riding it, it was just as good here in Texas, going up some hills, and flat ground with varied terrain versus on flat ground, mostly out in Iowa. So I would say personally for me, the way I ride the bike, I end up getting at least 80 miles of range. Um, and maybe someone who's not, in as good a shape as me, they might get 60 miles, but I can firmly say this bike in level one assist will get at least 60 miles. Um, if you're riding it, on level one assist and actually riding like a normal bike, not just letting it, carry itself.
But yeah, guys, so that is pretty much it for the 300-mile update on this bike. So if you were going to try to ride this bike on a mountain bike trail, I'm not sure that I recommend it. Not that it isn't a solid bike, it's just not built for that. So as you get it from Walmart, you're not going to be able to use, clearly, as you can see there, you're not going to be able to use the tubes that come with it and uh, the pedals that come with it. Those are the two things that failed me on the trail. And when I say failed, it didn't mean that I ended up having to get off the bike and push the bike. It just, they started breaking and I can tell that they're worse for the wear now and I'm going to end up replacing them. I've got another video where I've done a 27.5 slime tube that I'm going to be removing this rear wheel and put this on. I'll probably be putting the slime tube in the front too, just to have it for whenever I want to take it on a mountain bike trail. I have a little bit thicker tube and some slime to be able to fill those holes. One thing I didn't notice whenever I was buying it versus I put on my mountain bikes typically is that there are super thick slime tubes and then regular slime tubes. So I'm going to put these regular slime tubes on there. I don't know if it's going to hold up as well as this super thick. So I'll let you guys know how it fares. If I have another flat, then I'll obviously be posting it. But look out for that video where I change out that back tire, put these slime tubes in, and put these pedals on. And this is all a result of getting a flat on some really rocky terrain and this pedal failing me. And when I say fail, it didn't break in a sense that I couldn't pedal. It broke in the sense that every time I try to put power on it, it would end up making a ticking noise and just kind of annoying while I was on the trail. And to be honest with you, these pedals are probably the lowest end, least ideal pedal that I would accept. And so I don't even know how much it was. It was probably somewhere around $10 or something like that for these pedals or less. And they're a lot more robust. They're metal. They've got little cleats on them to be able to keep your feet in place. So I'm going to do that upgrade and give it a go. So yeah, so anyway, so that is the 375-mile update on the Concord 27.5. If you guys want to see any other content, post a comment below, let me know what it is. I know there's somebody who has asked me about the gear range and what gear to select, when going up hills and things of that nature. If they end up watching this video, I'll just cover it now. This bike with the hub motor, from what I have experienced going up hills, it doesn't matter what gear you select. I mean, you can select a higher gear or a lower gear, depending on how much effort you want to put in assistance going up the hill. But the bike pretty much gives you, as long as you're pedaling, a pretty steady clip up the hill over like 10 miles an hour or more, depending on what pedal assist you're in. And so, that being said, I really wouldn't worry about what gear you select going up hills. I wouldn't even worry really about what gear it is you select whenever you're going downhill or anything like that either. I mean, you can obviously get the highest range and then end up being able to push the bike a little bit more than the typical 20 miles an hour. It definitely will do it, but all that being said, because this hub motor is so smooth and the engagement is so good, you could ride it in whatever gear you want. It's just really how much effort you want to put in on top of the motor output. So yeah. Anyway, that is the 375-mile update. I appreciate you guys watching and subscribing. I see a lot of folks subscribing and liking the videos, so I'm going to keep making content like this. I think I'm going to make some more videos about off-roading and I potentially might buy one of these or use this one to do a mountain bike build, a little bit more robust mountain bike build. I haven't decided on that yet. I may end up just picking an actual mountain bike from Walmart and testing it instead. I do have another video where I tested the full suspension E-Ride Mountain, but I ended up returning that. But that's a whole nother video. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, leave me a like. If you want to see more content like this or have a question about this specific bike, post it below. I'll try to get to it whenever I can. For the people who were like asking me for a PDF on this bike, I don't have a PDF. Asking me for recommendations on a replacement battery. I don't know. I tried to look it up. I couldn't find it. I'll give it another go, but up to this point, these bikes are not like bikes that you would find, that where they carry multiple models and have the same battery in each model, and you could just buy an extra battery. I haven't seen that for this bike. I haven't seen it on Walmart.com at all. That being said, I don't know why you would need an extra battery for this bike if you're in level 1 assist, if it goes up to like 60, 70 miles, right? Like most people that are buying a Walmart bike are not riding beyond 60 miles. Even myself, I don't ride Walmart bikes all the time, and I don't ride 60 miles round trip at all whatsoever. I could, most times I don't. Anyway, all that to say, appreciate you guys watching. Thanks. I'm out.